So today I will rank each Marvel Rivals character on a tier list from weakest to strongest based on how strong they are in Marvel Comics as opposed to, in the game. So I'm sorry, no, this is not a game tier list. This is how strong they are in their actual 616 comics versions. I literally don't know anything about Cloak and Dagger, Penny, and Mrs. K-pop over here, so I just put them in this tier. Even when looking up, there's not a lot about them to know, so I'm not gonna put them anywhere just to make sure I don't spread misinformation about the characters when I'm not aware of them at all. I already made a video on Square Girl and why her biggest feats are winning against outer-versal characters, or at the very least, multiversal, if you wanna be conservative about it. If you don't believe me and think her peak is just beating Thanos or Doctor Doom, you're free to watch my video and see how she's actually way stronger than both of these guys. Even when they have the power of the Beyonder or the Infinity Gauntlet. No offense to Black Widow, because her white suit skin in Rivals has a giant butt, and I respect it, but she's just a girl with gadgets. Sure, she's good at hand-to-hand combat, and she's an assassin, and she's a spy, and those are great skills, but she's a normal human at the end of the day. And don't get me wrong, she beats 99% of the planet, obviously, she's an Avenger, but comparative to other superheroes and people that have superpowers and people that are super strong, she's not that impressive. I'm putting Hawkeye over her just because he has some stronger arrows that can damage characters above his pay grade, and also he's more useful in long range combat. Even in close range, he's weaker than Widow, but still a top tier in the world overall and can put up a fight with her. It's not like she automatically beats him. It's I would say mid to high difficulty win for Black Widow in hand-to-hand combat, but at long range, he's definitely stronger. And he has arrows that can do more than Black Widow. Punisher is just a guy with guns and a lot of conviction. I know his fans will be mad, but he's consistently not shown to be a god in any of the areas he's an expert in. So I will not put him anywhere near even the top of this list. Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon have better equipment, so I put them above the rest, even though they aren't superhuman, like the tier above. Iron Fist, Black Panther, the Winter Soldier, Psylocke, Wolverine, Moon Knight, Captain America, and I think that's about it, are all in the Super Soldier tier. They either have powers, armor, or something letting them fight each other, but also the hand-to-hand combat skills that are above most of anybody in Marvel. The reason they are above characters like Black Widow and Hawkeye is that, well, there's an argument to be had in terms of skill. This tier has superhuman attributes that puts them over the edge, again, with either their super strength or some sort of gadgets that they possess. Mantis is actually stronger than people think. She used to fight the Avengers in hand-to-hand combat back in the day. Plus, she has like telekinetic powers, fire abilities, mind control, mind reading. I think most human characters would lose to her, for example, especially with her hand-to-hand combat skills being so good. Also, Groot would just be set on fire by her powers, so he automatically would probably lose to her. Tony is a upper half Avenger. He can obviously fight Captain America and Spider-Man, but on a good day he can even fight Thor or Hulk, especially with some of his better suits. So if I had to average it out, I would put him like somewhere in the middle of this tier. Storm is an Omega level mutant, which means she's at least continental to planetary in terms of scale, usually. I don't know currently because I don't follow her right now in comics, but this is what she should be consistently throughout her history. And also, she could probably fry Tony with her lightning abilities pretty easily. Magneto is stronger than Storm on a regular basis. Sometimes he fights all of the X-Men at once. And Mantis's powers probably wouldn't work on him because of the helmet. And he would annihilate Iron Man for obvious reasons. So yeah, overall, Magneto, he's pretty up there. At the very top of B tier, I'd put like Namor. He's consistently able to fight the Thing and Hulk, or even Thor. So I would put him in the not quite top 3 Avenger, but like just below. This is where normally I would put people like Hulk and Thor if they weren't so strong in their current runs, to give you an idea. Venom and Spider-Man are here because while they do have superior strength, they're also less skilled in hand-to-hand combat than most people on this tier, and they aren't even as strategical or experienced as the rest. Another reason for them being in this tier is that more times than not, Spider-Man teams up or fights with characters that are in this tier than with characters that are a tier above. And usually when he's fighting alongside characters like Thor or Hulk, he's portrayed as like the underdog who's weaker. Whereas with Captain America, he's kind of portrayed on a similar level, if not maybe slightly stronger physically. I guess I would put Groot somewhere here or maybe a tier below. I'm not entirely sure. He's very inconsistent. Sometimes he's struggling with some random guy that nobody heard of, and sometimes he can punch Thanos, you know? So I would say maybe here. I mean, he's definitely not as strong as Mantis, as I already said, so I'll probably put him somewhere here. Hulk is like the embodiment of the one below all currently, and that's basically like the bad half of the one above all, who's the god of Marvel. Some people argue there's characters stronger than the one above all. Maybe there might be like a few, but in the grand scheme of things, he's like consistently the strongest character. He's consistently God. Again, there might be like one or two one-off characters that might surpass him, but in the grand scheme of the long history of Marvel, he's depicted consistently as the strongest or like one of the strongest, you know, beyond all dimensions, beyond multiversal, beyond omniversal, beyond outerversal. He is a menace. And his evil kind of half, his anti-Christ, his, you know, opposite is the one below all, who is kind of empowering or fighting against, depending moment from moment, honestly, with this Hulk, with the current Hulk right now. The current Hulk is fighting insane eldritch abominations beyond God and Satan. So like yeah, he's like some of the he's basically the strongest character here, except like Squirrel Girl maybe. And the reason she's above him, probably or maybe, is in my video about her. So go watch that video and you'll see why I might have her above him. Doctor Strange fights gods all the time, especially Dormammu, Mephisto, and Nightmare, who are at the very least universe to multiverse level threats. So he should be in the tier just below the top guys. Magic is strong enough to fight Doctor Strange, so I would put her right there with him. Hela should be comparable to people like Mephisto, who Doctor Strange sometimes can fight, and sometimes he's weaker than. It's a little inconsistent, but at the least should be at a somewhat similar level She's also stronger than Thor, who normally is like the fourth strongest Avenger behind Strange, Wanda, and depending on circumstances, Captain Marvel or Hulk. Wanda fights Doctor Strange a few times in the comics, and sometimes she's insanely powerful, but his skills are probably a little better alongside his artifacts and understanding of magic due to him being like, a master of the game who's had formal training for like a million freaking other wizards and stuff. But they both should be here, especially since Wanda, at the peak of her power, can affect the whole multiverse. So I think this tier should be here for characters that are like universe to like multiverse level. Currently, Thor is a bit questionable, but if we are to believe what has happened over the last few years, he is potentially at least somewhat close to God of Stories Loki, who's literally just a god of Marvel stories. Some of you think he's stronger than the one above all or the one below all. So like stronger than Hulk, arguably stronger than Squirrel Girl too, but it's really up to interpretation, as those sides of Marvels haven't really interacted as far as I'm aware. But this version of Thor, for example, is stronger than Rune King Thor, and he's stated to be the strongest hero in general right now, at least. He's basically, think about it this way. There are gods in Marvel, like, Zeus, Odin, etc. And there are gods of these gods. And Thor is stronger than these gods, at the very least. So yeah, he's pretty cracked right now. Speaking of which, if we talk about current versions, there's Loki, who right now is the god of stories. Even the MCU, but definitely in the comics. Some say he's stronger than the one above all, or on the same level. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, he's on such level that he should be around this tier. He should be at the top, at the very top. Again, to put it in perspective, humans in Marvel have gods, and even the gods have their gods. And even then, Loki is like a god to them. He's out there with, the Beyonders, who can easily beat the Living Tribunal, Eternity, or other cosmic entities. These are beyond multiversal characters, to put it simply. I'm currently not informed about Adam Warlock, I'm going to be completely honest, but I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna use the version of him that has the Infinity Gauntlet. So if you include that version, he's stronger than all the cosmic entities, including Death, Galactus, Infinity, Eternity, and basically anybody weaker than the Living Tribunal. Again, those are like multiversal plus type entities. Some would say outerversal within the power scaling community. The Infinity Gauntlet is really, really OP. At the very least universal, probably multiversal, and probably even outerversal, depending on who you're asking. Jeff actually had the Infinity Gauntlet at one point, but I'll slid him below because he ate it like a dummy instead of using it. However, he did have it. So unironically, one of the strongest characters in Marvel history.